Welcome to Beauty in Stories. This is a space where short, meaningful tales invite us to explore life's deep lessons and the beauty of emotions. Each story becomes a journey to listen, reflect, and rediscover values that are often overlooked in the busyness of life. Join us as we uncover inspiration, joy, and connection in these stories every day. And now, let's dive into today's story, A Prescription for the Soul. Not long ago, I went through a very tough period in my life. A phase that many of us might have experienced. Back then, everything seemed dull and boring to me. My health was deteriorating, the spark of enthusiasm and energy had completely faded. It had a terrifying impact on my life and work. Every morning, I would grit my teeth and tell myself, today, life will continue its usual course. I have to get through this. I must do it. But the days of monotony continued. And that sense of paralysis, of being trapped, seemed to get worse. It became clear that I needed help. I went to see a doctor. He was older than me and appeared a bit gruff. However, I was surprised to find that behind that rather unkind exterior was a very knowledgeable and experienced person. I told him, in great distress, that it seemed like I was stuck. "Can you help me?"
"I don't know,"
the doctor replied slowly. Then leaned forward and stared at me for a long time. Suddenly, he asked,
"When you were a child, where did you like to go the most?"
"When I was a child?" I asked, surprised. "Why do you ask?" "I think it was the beach. My family had a house by the shore. We all loved it." The doctor gazed out the window, watching a few autumn leaves fall. Then asked,
"Can you do what I tell you to do for an entire day?"
"I think I can," I answered eagerly.
"Good. I want you to do this."
According to the doctor, the next day, I had to drive to the beach alone and not arrive later than 9 a.m. I could have lunch, but I wasn't allowed to read, write, listen to the radio, or talk to anyone. Furthermore, he said,
"I will give you a prescription. Take one dose every 3 hours."
Then, he took a blank sheet of paper, tore it into 4 pieces, wrote a few words on each, folded them, numbered them, and handed them to me.
"Take these doses at 9 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., and 6 p.m., in the order given."
"Are you serious, doctor?" I asked, astonished. The doctor laughed.
"You won't think I'm joking when I take your payment for the consultation."
The next morning, with a small bit of faith in the doctor's prescription, I drove to the beach alone as he had instructed. A northeast wind blew. The sea looked gray, and the waves crashed loudly, as if in anger. I sat in the car, facing a long, empty day ahead. I opened the first note. It read, "Listen carefully." I couldn't understand. The doctor must be out of his mind. He had already forbidden me from listening to music, reading the news, and talking to others. What more could there possibly be to listen to? However, I decided to follow his advice. I looked up and listened. There was no sound except for the regular crashing of the waves, the screech of seagulls, and the distant hum of a few airplanes overhead. Such familiar sounds. I got out of the car. A strong gust of wind slammed the door shut behind me. I wondered, was the doctor asking me to listen to those sounds? I climbed up a sand dune and looked out over the vast, Deserted beach. Sitting there, I could hear the waves roaring louder, drowning out all other sounds. Suddenly, I thought there must be other sounds beneath the waves, the gentle rustle of sand shifting, the whisper of wind in the scrubby plants on the dunes, if only I listened carefully. Compelled, I jumped into the water and dove in. I chuckled at my own actions, diving deeper into the seaweed. At that moment, I realized that by truly paying attention, you could even hear the moments when everything seemed to pause, as if waiting. In that brief moment of silence, all my thoughts ceased, and my mind found rest. I returned to the car, lay back in the driver's seat, and continued listening intently. When I heard the roar from the deep ocean once more, I found myself thinking about the fury of storms rising within the very waves. Then, I realized I was thinking of things far greater than myself, and my heart was at peace with those thoughts. The morning passed slowly. The habit of diving into a complicated problem was so ingrained in me that I felt I would drown without it. By noon, the sky was clear, without a cloud in sight. The sea was sparkling. I opened the second note. Again, I felt both happy and a little irritated. The second prescription read, "Try to recall your memories." What memories? Obviously, the happy memories from the past. But why should I focus on those when all my worries were about the present or future? I left the car and began walking along the sand dunes. The doctor had brought me back to this beach, a place full of happy childhood memories. Perhaps that was what he wanted me to rediscover, the joy and happiness I had long forgotten. I decided to bring back those faded moments. I would color and sharpen the picture of happiness from the past. I would focus on specific details and paint them clearly. I would imagine how the people in those memories looked, how they dressed, and how they played. I would focus intently on their voices, laughter, and sounds. The tide was going out, but the waves still crashed with thunder. I chose to go back to the moment of my last fishing trip with my younger brother 20 years ago. He had died in World War II. But I realized that if I closed my eyes and really tried, I could see him vividly, even noticing the twinkle in his eyes and the eagerness in his smile. In fact, I could see the entire picture from that day, the glittering sea, the sunrise in the eastern sky, the majestic waves rolling onto the shore slowly. I felt the warm water swirling around my knees, my brother's fishing rod suddenly jerking when a fish took the bait, and I heard his joyful shout. I recreated the picture piece by piece, clearly and without change. After all these years, then, the images faded away. I slowly stood up, trying to find my way back to my past. Happy people are always those who are confident and determined. If you take your time to find and touch happiness, is it not possible that you will find some strength there? The second phase of the day passed quickly. As the sun began to dip, my mind eagerly moved through its journey into the past, reliving moments and rediscovering people I had completely forgotten. Over the years, I had remembered many events but had unintentionally let the happiness of the past slip away with time. A warm feeling surged in my heart, and I understood that no kindness is wasted or loses its meaning. By 3 p.m., the tide had gone out, and the sound of the waves had become a rhythmic whisper. The sea seemed like a giant breathing. The dunes had become my home. I felt relaxed, content, and even a bit smug. The doctor's prescriptions were so easy to take. But I wasn't ready for the third dose yet. The instruction this time was not gentle. It felt more like an order: examine your motivations. My first reaction when reading these words was to justify myself. My motivations weren't bad. I told myself, I wanted success, who doesn't? I wanted recognition. But so does everyone else. I wanted love and security, what's wrong with that? Perhaps. A small voice inside me whispered that my motivations weren't entirely pure. Perhaps that was why I was stuck. I bent down, grabbed a handful of sand, and let it slip through my fingers. In the past, things I did well always happened naturally, without prior planning. Lately, however, things had been calculated and carefully prepared. But they never went smoothly. Why? Because I had looked beyond the work itself, only thinking about the rewards I hoped it would bring. And the work had stagnated, it had become just a means to make money. The sense of giving, helping others, and contributing had vanished in the rush to grab benefits for myself. Suddenly, I realized with certainty that if a person's motivations lack purity, everything else will be fruitless. Whether you're a mailman, a barber, an insurance agent, a stay-at-home dad, or a housewife, it's the same. Only when you feel that you are serving others can you truly excel at your work. If you only focus on what you'll gain, your work will suffer. This is the natural law of life. I sat for a long time. In the distance, the waves had turned into a roar as the tide came in. Behind me, the last rays of the day were nearly disappearing below the horizon. My day at the beach was nearly over, and I felt both amazed and envious of the doctor and his prescriptions. So strange yet simple. Now, I saw them as valuable doses for anyone facing difficulties. Listen carefully, to calm and soothe a restless mind. Shifting focus from inside to outside. Recall the past, the human mind can only hold one thought at a time. To erase current worries when you focus on happiness from the past. Examine your motivations, this is the key to healing. Assess and align your motivations with your abilities and conscience. And you must do this sincerely. The sun in the west had turned a brilliant red as I pulled out the last piece of paper. After reading the words written on it, I slowly made my way toward the sea. When I was only a few meters from the water's edge, I stopped and read the words once more, write your troubles in the sand. I let the paper fly away, bent down, and picked up a broken seashell. Under the vast sky, I wrote many things on the sand, from one trouble to the next. Then I turned and walked away, not looking back. I had written my troubles in the sand. And out there, the waves were coming in. Reflection. The story is a journey of finding inner peace and healing deep emotional wounds. Through truly listening, revisiting joyful memories from the past, and reflecting on one's motivations, the protagonist gradually breaks free from the cycle of anxiety and finds life becoming lighter. Each prescription the doctor provides, though peculiar, helps him realize that happiness isn't something to seek externally, but rather a harmony between our inner selves and the true values in life. The profound lesson from this story is, to overcome challenges, we need to reconnect with deeper values in life. Listen to ourselves, and be willing to confront our true emotions. Sometimes, peace doesn't come from changing our circumstances, but from changing the way we perceive and deal with them. Let our troubles wash away like sand beneath the waves, because only then can our souls truly be free. Thank you for joining Beauty in Stories for today's tale. I hope these moments have brought you meaningful insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming stories. See you in the next one.
Goodbye!